Alright, so let's begin with the first product. I am going to be using the Wet n Wild Glass Correct Primer Base. This one is in the green color. And this one cost, so this one was $5.29 at Target. I'm just going to pin my hair back first. The claims on this is that skin looks naturally corrected and reflective as crystal. The green color correcting filter corrects redness and provides a glowing complexion. Includes spirulina, which is high in antioxidants. Wear alone or to prep skin for lasting makeup. Okay, so here is the green. When I was reading reviews for this online, a lot of people said that the green wasn't doing much for their skin, which I will say that in a product like this, I have also found that it's more to like mildly correct and not, you know, completely counteract redness. It's more to just, like I said, mildly color correct. Okay, primer is on. We will let that sink in. The feeling is really light. It really just feels like a gel moisturizer, which I like. And I am finding that my skin indeed is reflective as crystal, which is fun. Wet n Wild also sells that primer in a yellow tone, which I actually wanted to get at first because that one was a claim to brighten, not necessarily color correct. And it was just all sold out, so I didn't pick that one up. So the green is where we landed. Next product is the Wet n Wild Color Icon in the shade Petal Let. This is a 5-pan product. And I chose this color scheme just because I feel like I don't have many many collections in this palette tone, just like a cool tone, pinky purple. Okay, I'm gonna go in with just a fluffy brush and this like, I would almost say like a taupe mauve color. That's pretty. Yesterday I had my eyelashes tinted, so if you think I'm wearing mascara, I'm not. This morning I woke up and I was like, oh, I still have makeup on? But no, it was tint. I think the color looks really pretty. Just like a very soft pinky purple gray kind of color. I am noticing that I'm having to dip in a ton to get the payoff that I would normally get by less dips from other palettes. But I do think that is one of my overall findings with drugstore makeup, is that you can achieve a very similar look. You just have to work a little bit harder or different to achieve what you will more easily with higher end products. I'm going to take a little bit of a stubby, smaller size and take that deepest purple and see if I can darken out the edges. Now this is a metallic shade, so I don't normally do this, but we will see what happens. Okay, a little bit's coming through. I was worried it would look sheeny, but I think because it's a little bit more of a light wash, it's not. Oh, never mind, the sheen is there. Pay no attention to me. Oh, wait, why did that side get so dark? What happened? I probably just dipped more times in. Okay, that's not bad either. Just kind of looks like a purple black. More smoky than I anticipated. Wow. dip a little bit back into that mauve. Just soften it a little. I am getting patchiness here, but that's not terrible. I'm gonna take my finger and I think I'm gonna go into this light pinky metallic color. Whew, icy. I actually am thinking that this colored palette, this color scheme, is reminding me a lot of the Urban Decay Naked 3 palette, actually. Except I think that one's 12 pans and this one's 5, so this one kind of like embodies the gist of it. I don't have the Urban Decay anymore because that was like the first palette I ever got, and I just had it for far too long. But there was a very similar pink, a very similar dark purple, a mauve, and then also like an icy white. Just interesting to see. Kind of reminds me of The Devil Wears Prada when Andy is remarking, let me see. When Andy's remarking about how all of the shades of blue all look the same. And then, oh my gosh, I can't think of her name. The Meryl Streep character, I can't think of her name. But she basically puts her in her place by saying what's on the runway now gets basically like trickled down and ends up at places like Ross and TJ Maxx, because it's all about like imitating like the high end, and this just reminded me of that because it's like Wet n Wild imitating, or I could be totally off and Wet n Wild just doing their own thing. Okay, I certainly am looking frosty. Oh my. What do you think? Too frosty? Too furious? I'm noticing I'm not getting a ton of fallout, which is cool. I definitely have some, but that's easy to remedy. Since I haven't put anything on the lower lash line, I'm just going to take a little bit of the color correcting primer just to kind of sweep up the bottom. If you didn't have primer, you could also use some of your eye cream. And you could also just kind of sweep up the fallen if you want to kind of pick that up. I did not pick up eyeliner because the lowest costing ones at Target are all ones I have tried before and I didn't love any of them, so I decided to stay away from repeating that mistake, and instead I thought I would just use the eyeshadow with like a precise brush and just kind of do like a powder liner look. I'm going to take this really fine brush that I got from Lush, and I'm dipping it into that deep purple. I sprayed a little bit of toner on it just to kind of wet it, and let's see what happens. Another good thing about just using the powder is that the color scheme for sure is going to all coordinate. And it still defines the lash line without looking too different. Also, I feel like if I mess up with powder, it's in a very, very easy fix versus if I mess up with liner. That's all finished. Now I'm going to go in with some mascara. This is the e.l.f. Lash It Loud Volumizing Mascara. Here is what the head looks like. Does not always happen right after you've done your coat of mascara, the sneeze. I will say I like this mascara. I don't love it. It's the kind that definitely separates. I wouldn't consider this to be very volumizing. I think that the Rare Beauty mascara is one of the most volumizing mascaras I've tried in a long time. So this in comparison looks more like a natural everyday mascara. Just kind of looks like little flirty hairs. I think if I maybe let it dry and then come back to do another coat, that might help oomph it up a little bit. Let's get into the face. I picked up the e.l.f. Flawless Brightening Concealer. This is in the shade Fair 10C. And it kind of has like that YSL Touche Eclat applicator where you click and the product comes out of the tip. I think the shade is right. It's definitely like a brightening tone. And I think in comparison to the other e.l.f. concealer that I have, the more full coverage one, this one is more of like, either you might layer this underneath that one to give it some more brightening, or you could just wear this and maybe you're just wearing like a light face of makeup or something. And then for sponge, the most, oh my gosh, I haven't been saying the prices. I'm so sorry. I wrote them all down and everything. Okay, so the primer we already said was $5.29. And then the Wet n Wild palette was $3.19. The mascara was $6. And the next product is going to be this sponge. I tried it for the first time yesterday along with this entire set of products just to kind of get the feel. And this is actually really nice. I was just surprised that this one was the most inexpensive at Target. And it came with this like little egg holder, which I thought was really cute. Versus all the rest of them were a couple dollars more and just came by themselves. Blend this out a little bit. I think that looks really nice. It looks really kind of like radiant and oh my gosh. That's weird. On my top lid here, it looks like I sprayed something and it like got in my lid, but I haven't. The sponge was $4. And it came with that little egg thing like I was saying. Next is going to be the Wet n Wild Tinted Hydrator. This is the Tinted Skin Veil with hyaluronic acid, squalane for a lightweight, non-greasy finish, sheer to medium coverage. And it says that this lightweight perfector delivers hydrating benefits in a buildable sheer to medium tint for a flawless, softly luminous complexion. Hyaluronic acid and plant-derived squalane help to promote healthy, supple, moisturized skin. And this is in the shade Porcelain. Here's what it looks like. Now, this is the shade Porcelain. When I tried it yesterday, I was kind of baffled that this is the lightest shade because Wet n Wild has other products that are even lighter, like different like complexion products that are very, very light. And so when I tried this for the first time yesterday, I was just confused that this was their lightest. I'm gonna put a little bit onto the sponge. It's almost like the color peach. And as you can see, it is definitely sheer, like it says. And it does have that soft, luminous finish. I think the only reason why I wouldn't reach for this product is the shade, because don't mind my aggravated skin, but it just looks like peach, which is not quite what I like. Before I decided on this product, I almost picked up the Milani Tinted Hydrator. However, This one I think was $4 less. And in person, the Milani one looked much deeper for having like the lightest color than this one. Like in the bottle, it looks fair. The other one looked tan for being the lightest one. I know a lot of people say that if you have a shade that's too dark, just bring it down your neck, but I really cannot do that, because if I bring it down my neck, then I have to bring it down my chest, and then I have to bring it to like my shoulders, and I really just don't ever want to do that, ever. And on top of that, I have a very sensitive skin on my neck and chest, and so it's a lot more easily aggravated. And so I just try not to do anything on there. So it's kind of the thing of like, well, I kind of have to deal with it. So this one was $5.29. Next, I'm just going to scoop out a little bit of my cream bronzer. This is the e.l.f. Putty Bronzer in the shade Tan Lines. And this one was $7. The blush and the bronzer were the most expensive things I bought, but the reason I justified was the ones that were less expensive were ones I had either already tried or ones that I didn't think were going to be a good match. Like they had particles of glitter in them, or the shades weren't going to be ones that I would actually wear. So these to me realistically seemed like the lowest price ones that I would actually want to have. I'm going to take this and kind of smush it into the back of my hand to kind of warm it up. And then with my finger, I'm going to tap it around my perimeter. The texture of this is interesting. It kind of feels like putty. Maybe because that's just what it's called. I think it does. It also just feels like a cream bronzer. Like it doesn't necessarily feel too different than other cream bronzers I've tried. I think the biggest point of difference is that this one kind of dissolves into the skin versus other ones are a little bit more high pigmented, but this is the preferred version for me personally. I like it I would rather build it up than have to like retreat because I've put on too much. Because this is bronzer and not contour, I'm not going to bring it down my nose or on my neck, because that's where I would want to put contour to sculpt versus bronzer to warm. That was pretty easy just to blend in with my finger. I could have gone in with my sponge or with a brush. I just think in that case it was easier with my finger. Okay, so next is going to be the e.l.f. Putty Blush. This is what the color looks like. This is in the shade called Tahiti, which makes me think of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay, I'm just going to take that same little scoop, take a small amount onto the back of my hand, maybe a teensy bit more. I'm going to use the same finger I used the bronzer for and just kind of melt that into my skin so that I have it on my finger. And we're just going to apply softly on the cheek. And I really love this color. It does not go with my eyeshadow at all, but I tried my best to coordinate, and sometimes you just miss the mark. Okay, I am going to use, where did it go? I'm going to use my e.l.f. Putty Blush. Now, I had this in my collection already. I did not buy this most recent time, but I think it's only like $6 or something. And I like that it's kind of like those dual fibers that are very wispy, so it kind of disperses the product. It doesn't really like pick up the product as much. You just kind of get to move things around. All right, next up is the Wet n Wild Bare Focus Clarifying Finishing Powder. Now this is the translucent shade. It also had the option to come in like slightly tinted skin tone shades, but I just thought those looked a little bit dark, so I was worried it would just be too hard. Also, I learned yesterday this is really hard for me to open, and so I have to use like a tool to pry it open, which I don't love. Alright, have it open here. And I'm gonna start in the middle of my face. Certainly brings down the shine. And I think when you have fair skin, translucent can actually help to brighten or lighten other products that you have on. So in my instance where I have like a peachy toned tinted moisturizer, this would kind of a little bit help not make it look so dark. It'll just lighten it up a little bit. What I'm noticing is I'm really having to like pick it up on my brush. It doesn't want to really leave its pan. Okay, and the powder was $3.19. Okay, next up is going to be the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Natural Finish Setting Spray. Comes in this cute little bottle. It says shake well before use. They had a matte version, or rather a mattifying version of this, and I typically don't need that, so I just wanted to try the natural finish one. Smells fine. It doesn't smell, oh god, let me close my window. I would say it smells just sort of like a very light makeup smell. It doesn't really have like a floral or powdery smell. That's nice. That spray though is really sensational. I love that it kind of covers like a wide amount of face in just a few, and that's why I kind of wanted more because it just felt really good, so that's cool. Okay, it looks like it just enhanced a little bit. It doesn't look too shiny, it doesn't look too mattifying, it just sort of looks like radiant, which I actually really like. And the spray was $5.29, and this is about a fluid ounce and a half, just so you know. For highlighter, I picked up the Essence Pure Nude Highlighter. Taylor Wynn has been raving about this powder ever since I started following her channel years and years and years ago. And this is in the shade 10, Be My Highlight, which is the lighter of the two. And when I swat in Taylor's videos, it always looks so great on her. And she's about my skin tone, and so I've always thought that it would be a great fit for my skin tone too. But I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but compared to my skin, it's like a highlighter bronzer, which is kind of upsetting. So when I tried this out for the first time yesterday and I put it on, like, I was like, oh god. It kind of looked like a muddy bronzer applied up here. So I think for today's sake, I'm going to go in with a highlighter brush, take a smidgen, and maybe just apply it over like blush and bronzer area instead of applying it at the top of my cheekbone. Because the radiance is actually really beautiful. It just sort of looks like a Laura Mercier candlelight highlighter, where you don't really see the, like, you see the effect, you don't really see that it is highlighter, which I think is beautiful. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do love blinding reflections. I just also can appreciate when something just looks like you're dewy and not like you have highlighter on. Okay, so I tried being light-handed with that, and I think that looks fine. See what I'm talking about this little patch? That's so weird. Because there's no other patch like that throughout the eye. Oh well. And that highlighter was $4.99, and this is humongous for a highlighter. I worry that I might have this forever. Oh, I should have mentioned that this is a baked highlighter powder, which baked Baked products are often more natural looking. They have just like a softer look. They're not as intense. So that's probably why it has that effect. Okay, moving on to brows. I have the Essence Make Me Eyebrow Gel Mascara plus Filling Fibers in the shade number 1 Blondie Brows. It says this is a 3-in-1 color, fill, and shape. Colored eyebrow gel with fibers for naturally fuller looking brows. Cool. So this kind of reminds me of like the Benefit Gimme Brow. I've also tried something like this from Charlotte Tilbury, from almost all brands. Maybelline. I feel like I have tried many blonde gel brow products. And for me, usually the reason why I don't repurchase those is because the color. But when I tried this yesterday, I was kind of blown away by it being such a good match for my taste. The brush applicator is a little scratchy if you accidentally let it touch like your skin, so just keep that in mind. But yeah, I think this does a great job at kind of filling the brow and making it look defined without making it look super dense, which I'm always looking for. I love that this blonde is not red toned and it's also not gray. It's blonde, slightly brown with a neutral tone, which I think looks great with my head of hair. And this product cost $3.99. I'm just gonna finish up my lower lash line. I'm taking some of that mauve in the matte formula. Just to kind of make the rest of the look more finished. Okay, it looks like it's not really buildable on the top. It is a little for sure, but not as much as some other mascaras, so that's that. And then I'm taking some of the Frosty White, whoops, my finger keeps sticking here, the Frosty White shade on a little pencil brush. If it's picking up at all, I might need to use my finger just to, oh yeah, that's nice. Since we're going frosty, it might as well go full frost. Ooh, that's fun. Very Urban Decay Naked 3 palette. Like, I remember using one of the metallic lighter shades on my brow bone and thinking I was hot shit. Ooh, fun. Alright, last 3 products are all for lips. I'm going to start off with this lip pencil from Essence. It's the Soft and Precise Lip Pencil in the shade ABBA? I think it's called, oh, nope, Charming. Huh, that's weird. I wonder what that means. Here's what it looks like. Just a little classic pencil in lid. This one costs $2.99. Since I thought my eyes were going to be a little bit more pinky, I picked like a pinky pencil to kind of go with it, but then somehow I picked like a brownish kind of nude lipstick, so what do you know. This lipstick was $2.19. This is from Wet n Wild. This is the Mega Last Matte in the shade Bare It All, and it has this really cute little like cap and little lip on it. It's just more of like a warm toned pinky peachy rose versus like this is like a cool tone purple black, so missed the mark there, but it does go with the blush, so you gotta win some, lose some. Alright, the very last product is also from, this is from e.l.f. This is one of their lip lacquers, and this is in the shade Fantasy, in this little tube here with a little wand. This cost $3. I will say the applicator picks up hardly any product, truly hardly any. And so you kind of have to dip like 7 times to get the luster you might be wanting. That will do. All right, so there you have it. A full face of some of the most affordable products at Target that are all vegan, they're all cruelty-free, and they're just pretty easy to use, I would say. All of this cost me $69.41, so that was 15 different items. And I think the best part is that these are all products that I could use, you know, for a year or more. And if this was my only makeup collection, I mean, RIP to my eyes, because the eyeshadow would be sad to wear all the time. But like, I could see myself wearing the blush and bronzer, the brow product, the concealer, the primer, like all these I feel like I could actually implement into my normal routine, or they could replace a lot of my regular products because they worked really well. I think my favorite products, if I had to pick 2, are probably the concealer and the eyebrow gel. I just feel like, whoops, they feel like they work best for what I'm looking for in those kinds of products, so I love those. I think the big miss for me was probably the Tinted Hydrator, just because the shade was just such a hit miss. I mean, if you saw me walking down the street like this, I had on like a crew t-shirt like I have now, you probably wouldn't notice as much. But if I had on like a spaghetti strap in the regular sunlight, you'd probably be like, something looks bad. Overall, I'm pretty pleased with this. I would love to hear your thoughts on if you've tried something from this haul. You know, what was it that you tried and how did you like it? Or if you saw something for the first time and you're thinking like, hey, that seems pretty cool, like I want to try that. I would love to hear your thoughts. Anyways, I hope you are doing so well, and thank you so much for spending time with me. I will see you soon. Bye. If you're still here, please tell me if you know what that quote is from. Jade give to ride. I'm curious to see if anyone out there knows what that's from. And if you don't, that's okay. Also, PSS. I would love to hear if you know what this is from. There's always money in the banana stand. Just curious. All right, bye for real.